Hey guys, tonight we are going to forge a new myth. Imagine the scent of coal smoke clinging to the air, the rhythmic clang of a hammer on an anvil, and the deep, radiating warmth of a fire that never truly dies. We're stepping into a world where gods are real, but they aren't always kind, and where hope must be hammered into shape, just like steel. You're about to be born into this world, not on the gleaming peaks of Olympus, but in the soot and cinders of a mortal blacksmith shop. And let's be honest, given that you're literally born from fire, your chances of surviving infancy are questionable at best. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see where our stories reach. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your existence begins with a secret. It's a secret kept not in a locked chest, but in the heart of a woman named Callista, your mother. She is a blacksmith, a trade uncommon for a woman, but the village of Lycos has long since stopped questioning it. Her arms, corded with muscle from the swing of the hammer, could intimidate any man who dared. But it is the focused, unwavering intensity in her eyes that truly commands respect. Her forge is her temple, the anvil her altar, and the fire her prayer. The air in the smithy is a living thing. It's thick with the ghosts of countless projects. The sharp, metallic tang of cooling iron, the earthy bitterness of burning charcoal, and the faint, almost sweet scent of quenching steam. Dust motes, each a tiny fleck of metal or ash, dance like sprites in the shafts of sunlight that pierce the smoky gloom. This is the only home you have ever known, and you are not even born yet. Your father is not a man who visits. He is a god, and his courtship was one of craft, not conversation. Hephaestus, the lame god, the divine smith, saw in Callista a spirit that mirrored his own. He didn't come to her with thunderbolts or golden chariots. He came as a whisper in the flames, a sudden, impossible insight that allowed her to fold steel in a way no mortal had ever conceived. He came as a heat in the forge that burned hotter and purer than any earthly coal, turning stubborn iron into a river of light. One night, as she worked late, lost in the trance of her creation, a spark leapt from the heart of the fire. It did not burn her tunic or singe her skin. It landed softly on her chest, a single, searing point of light that felt not like fire, but like a cosmic loneliness finding its home. In that moment, your life began. Callista knew. A mortal woman who spends her days wrestling with the primal elements of earth and fire learns to recognize the touch of the divine. She felt you growing within her not as a burden, but as a forge fire being kindled in her womb. While other women craved figs or olives, she craved the taste of iron-rich water and the scent of coal smoke. Her morning sickness felt like the bubbling of slag, and your kicks were not the gentle flutters of a human child, but the steady, rhythmic beat of a hammer shaping the world. The day of your birth arrives with an unnatural stillness. The usual chatter of the village is hushed. The winds are silent, and a strange, heavy pressure settles over the valley. Inside the smithy, the forge, which Callista had let cool, begins to glow of its own accord. It starts as a faint, pulsing red in the heart of the charcoal pile, a blush of heat in the darkness. Then, with every contraction that racks your mother's body, the glow intensifies, climbing from cherry red to a blinding white gold. The tools hanging on the walls hum with a sympathetic vibration, a low, resonant drone that fills the space. Callista is alone. She has barred the door. This is a wholly terrifying and intensely private affair. She doesn't scream in pain. Her grunts and gasps are the same sounds she makes when wrestling a heavy ingot of bronze onto the anvil. This is work. This is creation. Sweat and soot streak her face as she leans against the stone wall, her body in crucible for the impossible. The heat becomes immense, not the scorching, destructive heat of a wildfire, but the creative, life-giving heat of a star being born. The very air shimmers, and the shadows in the corners of the room seem to shrink away, afraid. And then you arrive. There is no scream of a newborn, no slap from a midwife's hand. You emerge from your mother in a surge of heat and light, landing not on a bed of straw, but in a waiting bed of soft, gray ash she had prepared beside the hearth. You are not covered in blood, but coated in a fine, shimmering soot, like a perfectly forged blade fresh from the embers. Your first breath is not a cry for air, but a sharp hiss, the sound of a meteor plunging into the sea, of white-hot steel being quenched. Callista, exhausted but lucid, crawls towards you. She sees that you are small, perfectly formed, and utterly silent. And then you open your eyes. They are not the milky, unfocused blue of a human infant. Your eyes are the color of the forge heart. Deep, swirling pools of orange and red, with a pinpoint of white-hot intensity at the center. They are embers, living and breathing, and in their depths, she sees not the innocence of a child, but the ancient, weary wisdom of a flame that has burned for eons. No gender reveal party was needed here. The fact that you were some kind of fire elemental was pretty clear from the get-go. She reaches out a trembling, calloused hand to touch your cheek. You are not feverish. You are simply warm. A deep, pleasant, life-affirming warmth that seems to push back the chill of the world. As her fingers make contact with your sooty skin, a tiny, silent spark jumps between you, and the dormant hearth beside you sputters to life with a gentle whoosh of orange flame. This becomes the pattern of your infancy. You are a quiet child, a creature of observation. While other babies learn the world through touch and taste, you learn it through heat. You don't see people as shapes and colors, but as walking signatures of warmth. Your mother is a steady, comforting bonfire of love and strength. The village baker is a fleeting, yeasty warmth that passes by the smithy door. The stray dog that sleeps in the alley is a flickering, low-burning ember. The world for you is a beautiful, intricate dance of thermal energies. Your mother learns your language. You do not cry for milk. A subtle drop in the ambient temperature around your cradle is enough to alert her. You do not gurgle with pleasure. The light in your eyes brightens, the embers swirling faster, when she sings you the old, rhythmic work songs of the forge. She crafts your toys with the same care she gives a warrior's sword. While other children in the village are given carved wooden animals or cloth dolls, your first rattle is a small, perfectly balanced hammer of polished bronze, its head intricately carved with the likeness of a salamander. It is always warm to your touch. Your mobile is a cascade of shimmering copper plates that catch the light of the forge and cast dancing patterns of warmth on the wall. You grow, and your connection to the flame deepens. You are her little secret, her divine anomaly. One afternoon, A traveling merchant stops, his cart laden with spices and silks. He tries to light his clay lamp, but the oil is spent and the wick is damp. He curses, frustrated, as evening approaches. You, a toddler of no more than 2 winters, toddle over from the shadow of the anvil. You place your small, warm hand on the clay body of the lamp. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, a tiny, pale blue flame flickers to life on the wick, burning with no fuel, sustained by nothing but your presence. The merchant stares, his mouth agape, before making the sign against evil and hurrying away, leaving a small pouch of silver in his haste. Callista sweeps you up in her arms, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. She knows she cannot hide you forever. Her world, the world of the smith, is one of raw pragmatism, yet it's steeped in ancient lore. Historians still argue whether the societal role of the ancient Greek blacksmith, the Kalkias, was one of a respected artisan whose skill bordered on the mystical, or merely a low-status manual laborer, grimy and set apart from the polis. In Lycos, Callista occupies a space between. She is essential. She mends the plows, shoes the horses, forges the knives. But she is also other. She works with an element of primal power, taming it to her will, and people are both grateful for and wary of that. It is a known fact that a good smith needs charcoal from specific hardwoods, like oak, to reach the temperatures needed for forge welding, a process that seems like magic to the uninitiated, fusing 2 pieces of iron into one. Callista's skill goes beyond that, and with your arrival, it borders on the miraculous. She never speaks of your father, but his presence lingers. Sometimes, when she is struggling with a difficult piece of metal, a design that eludes her, she will find you staring intently at the iron glowing in the fire. Following your gaze, she will suddenly see the solution, the precise angle for the hammer blow, the exact moment to quench the steel. You are her muse, her silent partner in the art that birthed you. You learn to walk on the packed earth floor of the smithy, your bare feet leaving fleeting patterns of warmth. You are drawn to the fire not with a child's careless curiosity, but with the reverence of a pilgrim. You can stare into the white-hot heart of the forge for hours, your ember eyes reflecting the flames, seeing things in their dance that no mortal could comprehend. You see histories, futures, the very DNA of creation written in the flicker and sway of the heat. Callista tries to teach you words, but they feel alien in your mouth, clumsy and cold. Your sounds are the sounds of the forge, the soft sigh of the bellows, the sharp hiss of steam, the low hum of cooling metal. She comes to understand. When you tap a rhythm on the anvil with your little bronze hammer, you are telling her about your day. A slow, steady beat is contentment. A fast, frantic rhythm is excitement. A long, ringing silence is a question. One day, a neighbor's hearth goes out. Not just the fire, but the embers, the very memory of warmth, seem to have died. The stones are cold and lifeless. The family shivers, huddled in blankets, their food uncooked. They send their boy to Callista for a pot of hot coals, a common practice in the ancient world before the invention of simple fire starters like matches. Callista, her heart heavy, explains that her own forge fire is different. It cannot be shared. But she looks at you, and you look back, your glowing eyes filled with a strange sadness. You slip out of the smithy while she is distracted. You walk to the neighbor's home. The family looks at you, this strange, silent child of the blacksmith. You ignore them. You walk to the cold, dead hearth. It is a void, a wound of coldness in the house. You reach out and place your hands on the cold stone. You close your eyes. You are not trying to create fire. You are simply sharing the warmth that is your very essence. You are remembering what it feels like to be a hearth. Slowly, a faint orange light begins to bloom within the stones. It grows not into a roaring fire, but into a deep, steady, radiant heat. The family gasps. The stones of their hearth are now a permanent source of warmth, glowing softly day and night, needing no fuel. You have performed a miracle, and it terrifies your mother. This is too much, too visible. The world is beginning to notice. Whispers had always followed her, but now they follow you. The ember-eyed boy, the hearth warmer. Some see it as a blessing. Others, a dark omen. There's a fringe belief, an old wives' tale, that some smiths are descended from the dactyls, the mythical creatures from Mount Ida who first taught men to work with iron. Callista wonders if the villagers see you as one of them, a creature not entirely of their world. She holds you close that night, the forge fire casting long, dancing shadows on the wall. The world outside the smithy feels colder than ever, and she realizes with a dawning horror that it's not just her imagination. The neighbor's hearth hadn't just gone out by accident. All over the village, fires are struggling. Hearths that have burned for generations are sputtering, weakening. The nights are growing longer, the frosts more bitter. Something is wrong with the world. Something is wrong with fire itself. As you lie in your small bed, a space hollowed out and lined with sheepskin near the eternal warmth of the forge, you can feel it too. You can feel the great cosmic fire of the world, the one from which your own small spark was struck, being dampened. It's like hearing a beautiful song fade to a mournful whisper. It is a coldness that seeps into the bones of the earth, a sorrow that chills the hearts of humanity. You drift to sleep, but your dreams are not of toys or your mother's face. You dream of a vast, empty brazier on a mountaintop, its metal sides cold to the touch. You dream of a world painted in shades of blue and gray, where people huddle together not for community, but for the fading warmth of their own bodies. And you feel a pull, a deep, resonant ache in your soul, a calling to fill that emptiness, to relight that brazier. Your mother watches you sleep, her calloused hand resting on your chest. She can feel the steady, warm thrum of your heart, a tiny, defiant forge burning against the encroaching cold of the world. She sees the light of your eyes glowing faintly through your closed lids, and she knows that the secret of your birth is tied to the sickness of the world. She had hoped to protect you, to keep you safe in this cocoon of warmth and steel, but she realizes now that you were not born in a forge. You were born to be a forge, and a forge is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to burn. The quiet life she had envisioned for you is an impossibility. A destiny was hammered into your soul the moment that divine spark flew from the fire, and its shape is one of heroism and of sacrifice. You are a tool, she realizes with a mother's grief, forged by a god for a purpose she is only just beginning to comprehend. And as she looks at your small, warm body, she has a terrible premonition that, like all the finest blades she makes, you are destined to be tested, and perhaps to be broken. That premonition solidifies into a chilling certainty with the morning sun. It's a sun that gives light but no comfort, a pale, sterile disk in a sky the color of washed-out linen. The cold is no longer just a premonition. It is a physical presence. It's in the way the condensation on the inside of the smithy's single window is not dew, but a delicate, feathery lacework of frost. It's in the way Callista's breath plumes in front of her face, even as she stands near the forge. Your forge, the only truly warm place left in the world, as far as you know. She gives you your name that morning. Callista holds you, her strong arms a familiar fortress, but you can feel the tremor in them. She looks at your ember eyes, which seem to burn even brighter against the growing gloom. Irian, she whispers, the sound a small puff of white in the cold air. It is not a common name. It is her own invention. A word that feels like a star, a distant point of fire in an endless, cold darkness. It is a name of hope and of sorrow. You, Irian, feel the world's sickness as a personal affliction. It is a constant, low-frequency hum of misery that vibrates in your bones. When you touch the iron of the anvil, it feels colder, more stubborn. When you look outside, the colors seem to have leached from the world. The vibrant green of the olive grove on the hill has muted to a dull, grayish sage. The deep blue of the distant Aegean is now a flat, slate-like sheet. It's as if a divine hand is slowly turning down the saturation of existence. As the days turn into weeks, the change becomes undeniable to everyone. The cold is relentless. It is a deep, penetrating chill that no amount of blankets can ward off. It is the cold of the grave, a cold that steals strength and replaces it with a weary lethargy. The villagers, once a boisterous and hardy people, grow quiet and withdrawn. Their movements become economical, their voices softer, as if raising them would expend too much precious energy. They stopped having arguments, not out of a newfound sense of community, but because getting worked up about anything felt like a waste of precious calories. It was the original, I can't even era. The most sacred place in any Greek household, the oikos, was its hearth, the Hestia. This was more than a fireplace. It was the home's spiritual core, a direct link to the gods and to generations of ancestors. It was where offerings were made, where family decisions were sanctified, where guests were welcomed. And now, one by one, they are going out. Not just becoming cold, but becoming void. The stones turn inert and dead. The soul of the home is being extinguished. People try to relight them with friction or flint, but the sparks are feeble and die instantly, swallowed by the oppressive cold. Your forge becomes an unwilling sanctuary. At first, people are subtle. They find excuses to visit Callista, commissioning a needless repair on a perfectly good tool, lingering much longer than necessary to haggle over the price. But soon, the pretense drops away. They simply come and stand outside the wide open doors of the smithy, huddled together in small, silent groups, their faces turned towards the radiant warmth as if they were sun worshippers and you were their sun. The smithy effectively became the village's only five-star resort, the main amenity being not actively freezing to death. Callista doesn't have the heart to turn them away, but their desperate, hollow-eyed stares weigh on her. They look at you, her strange, silent son, with a mixture of awe and fear. You are the source of this impossible warmth. Are you a blessing, or are you somehow the cause of the cold, hoarding the world's heat for yourself? You grow from a toddler into a boy. The years pass, not marked by joyful festivals, but by the deepening of the cold. At 5, you are small for your age, but your presence is immense. The light in your eyes is no longer just a soft glow. It is a controlled, focused fire. You understand now. You understand that the warmth you embody is not the norm. It is a divine inheritance in a world that has been disinherited. The effects of the gods' decree. For you sense this is a decree, a punishment, are catastrophic. The crops fail entirely. The seeds they planted in the spring lie dormant and rotten in the cold, unyielding soil. The olive trees refuse to fruit, their branches brittle and bare. The villagers' attempt at farming was starting to look less like agriculture and more like a minimalist art installation titled Sad Twigs in Dirt. Famine, a gaunt and silent specter, begins to stalk the streets of Lycos. The world's life force is draining away, and you are the only one with a gauge to measure it. The warmth signatures of the villagers are fading. Where you once saw steady, if small, flames, you now see flickering, guttering candle wicks on the verge of being snuffed out. This sensory input is a constant ache. It's the grief of watching 1,000 lights go out, one by one. Your mother does her best to create a world for you. She teaches you the smith's craft not with words, but by guiding your hands. You learn to feel the will of the metal, to know its breaking point and its moment of perfect malleability. Your small hands, which should be burned by the briefest contact with hot iron, can hold a glowing ingot for seconds without harm. The metal seems to sing for you, to bend to your touch in ways it never did, even for her. You forge small things, nails, hooks, intricate bronze leaves. But your work is different. The objects you create retain a spark of your essence. A nail you forged, driven into the lintel of a doorway, keeps the wood from succumbing to the creeping rot. A bronze leaf you shape, worn as a pendant, gives its wearer a small measure of vitality against the encroaching chill. Soon, your creations are in high demand. Callista is torn. This is how you survive. She trades your small, warm trinkets for the villagers' dwindling supplies of dried fish, salted meat, and stale grain. But each object you create is a small piece of you given away, a tiny expenditure of your soul's fire. After a long day of forging, the light in your eyes is dimmer, and you fall into a heavy, exhausted sleep. Your dreams filled with the oppressive weight of a cold, empty sky. Your visions are becoming clearer. The image of the mountaintop is more detailed now. You see the peak of a colossal mountain, impossibly high, its summit wreathed in clouds that crackle with divine energy. You see a great brazier made of celestial bronze, intricately carved with scenes of gods and titans. And you see that it is empty and dark, its surface covered in a thin layer of frost. You feel its coldness across the gulf of reality, a profound absence that is the source of the world's pain. You understand this is Olympus, the home of the gods. And you understand that they have done this deliberately. They have sealed the eternal flame away, punishing humanity for some perceived slight, some arrogance they could not abide. The traditional ways offer no solace. The village priest still makes his daily offerings at the small temple to Apollo, but the rituals feel hollow. The sacrificial meats will not cook on the altar fire. They simply sit there, raw and pathetic. The gods are not listening. Their silence is as cold and absolute as the air itself. Archaeologists and classicists continue to debate the exact nature of the Eleusinian mysteries, but most agree they centered on the promise of rebirth and life after death, concepts that seemed impossibly distant to the shivering populace. Their faith, once a source of comfort and cosmic order, now only highlights their abandonment. This abandonment breeds a dark and fearful superstition. People start looking for someone to blame, and their eyes fall on you, the strange boy who is immune to the cold. The boy whose mother works with forbidden-seeming arts. The boy who appeared just as the world began to die. You hear the whispers. They compare you to a pharmacos, a scapegoat. In darker times, cities would ritually cast out or even kill such a person to appease the angry gods and cleanse the community of its sins. You are the nail that sticks up, and the world is a very large hammer. Callista sees the shift in the villagers' eyes from awe to suspicion, and her protective instinct becomes a fierce, burning shield. She closes the smithy doors. No more visitors. No more trinkets. She will hoard what little food they have and protect you with her life. Her world shrinks to the 4 stone walls of her workshop, her entire universe centered on the small, warm boy who is both her son and a spark of a dying sun. She tries to distract you, to bring some semblance of a normal childhood into your life. She tells you stories, not the grand myths of Zeus and his thunderbolts. Those gods are now the enemy, but smaller, more intimate tales. She tells you about the cleverness of Daedalus, the artistry of the Telshines, and the loyalty of the Cyclops who forged lightning for a king who did not deserve it. She tells you about Prometheus, the Titan who loved humanity so much he stole fire for them from this very same brazier you see in your dreams. He was their first champion. He was punished for it, chained to a rock for eternity. Her stories are always about creators, about rebels, about those who gave gifts to mortals. She is, without knowing it, teaching you your own mythology. One evening, as a blizzard of impossible, biting snow rages outside, you sit by the forge, hammering a piece of scrap copper into the shape of a swan. Callista watches you, her heart aching. You should be outside, playing with other children, learning to read, to wrestle, to live. Instead, you are here, a prisoner of your own divine nature. "Why, Irian?" she asks, her voice rough with emotion. "Why is it cold?" You stop hammering. You look up at her, your ember eyes seeming to hold all the sorrow of the world. You cannot speak the words, but you can show her. You take a piece of charcoal and begin to draw on the smooth stone floor. Your hands move with an unnatural speed and precision. You draw a mountain piercing the heavens. You draw the empty brazier. You draw tiny, shivering figures at the mountain's base, their faces etched with despair. And then you draw a single, tiny spark, falling from the brazier long ago, landing in a forge where a woman worked alone. And from that forge, you draw a small boy with fire in his eyes. Callista understands. She weeps, not for herself, or for the dying world, but for you, for the destiny that was thrust upon you. You are the consequence of that long-ago theft. Prometheus stole a piece of the fire, but the gods have now locked away the source. You are not a new thief. You are the echo of that first gift, a living reminder of what humanity has lost. You go to her and put your warm hands on her wet cheeks. You cannot offer her comfort in words, but you can offer her warmth. You can offer her the truth you see in the flames. You look into her eyes, and for the first time, you try to project not just feeling, but a vision. You show her what you see in your dreams, the climb, the confrontation, the fire. You show her the cost of it. Her entire body goes rigid. She sees it, the terrible, glorious, fatal path laid out before you. Her first instinct is to forbid it, to lock you away forever, to let the world freeze rather than lose you. But she is a blacksmith. She knows that a blade is forged for a purpose. To keep it on a shelf, pristine and unused, is to deny its very existence. You were forged for this. To deny your destiny would be a greater cruelty than to let you face it. From that day on, your training changes. It is no longer about just making things. It is about purpose. Every hammer blow is a lesson in intent. Every piece of metal you shape is an exercise in focus. She teaches you to read the weaknesses in stone, the grain in wood, the flow of the wind. She teaches you to be silent, to be patient, to endure. She is not preparing you to be a blacksmith. She is preparing you to be a hero. And you, Irian, you feel the change. The growing darkness in the world no longer feels like a vague, oppressive sadness. It now has a name. Injustice. It has a location, Olympus, and it has a solution. A solution that rests in your small, warm hands. The sorrow you felt for the world begins to temper into something harder, something sharper. It is the anger of the righteous, the resolve of the committed. You look out through the cracks in the boarded-up door at the gray, shivering world, at the hunched figures scurrying through the snow, and you no longer feel like a victim of this cold. You feel like its opponent. The world is dying, and you, the boy born of fire and sorrow, the boy named for a distant star, are its only hope. The forge inside you burns hotter than ever. The forge inside you burns hotter, but your mother teaches you control. The years that follow are a long, slow lesson in tempering. While boys your age in a normal world would learn to hunt or sail, you learn the art of containment. Callista has you sit for hours, meditating in the coldest corner of the smithy, forcing you to draw your inner fire deep into your core, to bank the furnace of your soul so it warms only you and not the stone around you. It's an excruciating process, like holding your breath underwater. Then, she has you do the opposite. Focus all your warmth into the palm of your hand and melt a design into a block of ice without cracking the rest of the slab. You are going through a very different kind of puberty. Less voice cracking, more accidentally setting the furniture on fire when you get emotional. You are growing into a young man, your body lean and strong from the endless work of the forge. But your face remains unnervingly youthful, and your ember eyes hold an ancient gravity. You rarely speak, having never felt the need for words, but your silence is not empty. It is watchful, knowing, outside the sanctuary of the smithy, the world has become a skeleton of its former self. The forest that borders your village is a graveyard of brittle, gray trunks. Yet, when you walk through it, something remarkable happens. You pass a gnarled, ancient oak, its branches skeletal against the sky, and you feel a flicker of consciousness from within its frozen heart. A dryad, a spirit of the tree, long dormant in a sorrowful slumber, stirs at the passing of your warmth. You place a hand on its icy bark, and a wave of gratitude, smelling faintly of acorns and dry leaves, washes over you. A single, perfect green leaf unfurls on a branch above your head, a tiny, defiant jewel in the universal gray. It happens again by the river. The water, once a rushing torrent, is now a solid, unmoving sheet of ice. But as you walk its bank, a circle of water thaws around your feet, the ice melting away to reveal the dark, flowing current beneath. You feel a presence in the water, a naiad, her essence one of cool, smooth stones and the memory of fish darting in the sun. She doesn't speak, but you feel her curiosity, her desperation, a plea for the return of warmth and life. These spirits of nature, long ignored by the boisterous world of men, recognize you. They whisper your name, Irian, on the still air, a sound like rustling leaves and melting ice. You are not just a smith's son, you are a promise. By the time you are 16, the visions in your sleep are no longer just images. They are a call to action. The sight of the cold brazier on Olympus fills you with a burning impatience. The world is dying, and you are doing nothing but honing a power you never asked for. Callista sees it in you. The banked fire is ready to be unleashed. The whispers of nymphs are not a map. My son, she says one evening, her voice low. Her hands, once so strong, are now thin and frail from years of meager rations. Her love for you is the one fire she has left. You need a clear path. The gods are silent, but Apollo's voice was never meant for them. It is for mortals. You must go to Delphi. The name hangs in the air, heavy with history and power. Delphi, the center of the world, the home of the most famous oracle in history. To go there is to seek the source. The journey is a descent into purgatory. Callista insists on coming with you for the first leg, her old blacksmith's hammer tucked into her belt. The two of you, one a blazing furnace of life, the other a flickering ember of mortality, set out into the cold. The landscape is so bleak and miserable. It looked like it was actively auditioning for a role as a post-apocalyptic movie set. You pass through villages that are little more than open tombs, the houses filled with the frozen bodies of those who simply lay down and gave up. You see humanity at its most desperate. Some survivors, their eyes wild with hunger and madness, try to ambush you, drawn by the faint aura of warmth you cannot completely suppress. You do not fight them. You have no skill with a sword, and the thought of unleashing your fire on another living being is abhorrent to you. Instead, you stand your ground, and you let a small portion of your warmth flow outwards. It's not an attack, but an offering. You project the feeling of a full belly, of a crackling hearth, of sunlight on closed eyelids. The desperate, violent energy of the attackers falters. Their faces soften, their hands lower their crude weapons. They are mesmerized by a memory of comfort they had long forgotten. You and your mother slip past them, leaving them in a daze, clutching at a phantom warmth. Callista leaves you at the crossroads overlooking the Chrysaean plain. She is too weak to continue. She presses your bronze leaf pendant into your hand. A blade is not a blade until it strikes, she says, her eyes meeting yours. There is no fear in them, only a terrible, resolute love. Do not let them break you. Let them use you. That is your strength. You watch her turn back, a small, stooped figure shrinking against the vast, gray landscape until she is gone. You have never felt so alone. You continue on, following the skeletal tracks of the sacred way. You finally arrive at the slopes of Mount Parnassus, where the great sanctuary of Delphi is nestled. It is a ghost town. The treasuries built by the great city-states are shuttered and crumbling. The grand stadium is silent, a dusting of permanent snow on its stone seats. The air is thin and stings your lungs. At the entrance to the sacred precinct, you see the famous inscriptions carved in stone, the ones every pilgrim was meant to contemplate. One reads, "Nothing in excess." A bitter laugh almost escapes your lips. The world is a monument to excess in the other direction. But it's the other inscription that catches you, that seems to burn with a cold light. Know thyself. Gnathi Siauten. That is why you are here. to know who you are and what you must do. The traditional ritual for consulting the oracle is impossible. The Castalian spring, where pilgrims were required to purify themselves, is frozen solid. You crack the ice with a single warm touch and splash the frigid water on your face. The shock of it a welcome distraction. There are no priests to take your fee. No goats to sprinkle with water to see if they tremble in divine approval. The poor beasts would be frozen statues before they had a chance. The entire precinct is abandoned, save for one flickering torch at the entrance to the temple of Apollo. An old woman sits there, wrapped in layers of threadbare robes. She is the Pythia, the vessel of the god. Her face is a mask of wrinkles, her eyes clouded and weary. The god is silent. She rasps, her voice thin as a winter reed. The breath of the world is still. Go home, boy. There are no answers here. You look at her, at the fading heat signature of her frail body, and you feel an immense pity. You walk past her towards the temple's great bronze doors. You cannot enter the Adyton, she cries, a flicker of her old authority returning. It is forbidden. You place your hand on the massive bronze door. It is so cold, it feels like it's burning your skin. You close your eyes, and you don't push. You remember your mother's lesson. You don't force the metal. You feel its nature. You become one with the door, sharing your warmth, reminding its molecules of a time when they shimmered with heat. With a deep groan of protesting metal, the door swings inward. You step into the darkness. The air inside is heavy, ancient, and colder than a tomb. You can feel the great chasm in the earth beneath the floor, the source of the divine inspiration. But it is dormant. The pneuma, the sacred breath, is still. Some ancient writers, like Plutarch, claimed it was a sweet-smelling vapor that drove the Pythia into her trance, perhaps some natural gas seeping from the rock. You can smell it, faintly, a ghost of sweetness, like crushed flowers, trapped beneath the weight of the cold. The Pythia has followed you in, her torch the only light. What are you? She whispers, staring at you, at the faint aura of heat that makes the air around you shimmer. You walk to the center of the room, directly over the chasm. You kneel, placing both your hands flat on the stone floor, and you let go. You release the iron control you have maintained for years. You open the furnace doors of your soul and let the fire out. It is not a violent explosion. It is a wave of pure, golden warmth that floods the temple chamber. The frost on the walls melts in streaming rivulets. The air, once sharp and sterile, becomes thick and alive. The faint, sweet scent of the pneuma rises from the floor, no longer a ghost but a potent, swirling presence. The Pythia gasps as the divine vapor envelops her. Her body goes rigid, her back arching. Her clouded eyes roll back in her head, and for the first time in a decade, the god Apollo speaks through her. But it is not a calm, poetic verse. Ancient sources are themselves contradictory, and modern scholars debate whether the Pythia's prophecies were delivered as lucid, coherent poetry or as ecstatic, unintelligible cries that were then interpreted and reshaped by the male priests. What comes from her now is raw, primal, and terrifying. It's a shriek of prophecy, a torrent of images and sounds that bypass your ears and burn directly into your mind. You see it all. You see yourself climbing a mountain that is not made of rock, but of solidified belief and divine pride. You see a gate guarded by a beast of impossible size, with 3 heads and a roar that echoes with the despair of 1,000,000 dead souls. You see yourself walking a path of shadows, a river of wailing ghosts your only companion. You see a confrontation not with a monster, but with a god of speed and trickery, his words more dangerous than any sword. You see the final peak, the brazier, the eternal flame, and then you see the cost. The son of the forge must pay the smith's price. The voice screams in your head, a chorus of 1,000 shattered voices. A soul for a spark, life for a light. To reclaim the fire, you must feed the fire. The flame you seek is your own funeral pyre. The vision fades. The Pythia collapses to the floor, unconscious, the divine energy spent. The warmth in the temple recedes as you instinctively regain control, banking your fire once more. The chamber is left silent, dripping, and filled with the ghost of a prophecy. You stand up, your body trembling, not from cold, but from revelation. You knew, on some level, what your fate was. Your mother knew, but to have it laid bare, to have it confirmed by the voice of a god, is a different thing entirely. It is a death sentence. So, the universe's big plan for you is basically a divine fetch quest with a no returns, no survival policy. Great, just great. A wave of despair, cold and human, washes over you. For a moment, you want to run, to go back to the smithy, to hide behind your mother's strength and pretend you were just a boy. But then you remember the skeletal forests, the frozen villages, the hollow eyes of the hungry. You remember the single green leaf on the dead oak tree. You think of your mother turning back alone on that desolate road. This isn't about you. It never was. Your life is the price, but humanity is the prize. You walk out of the temple, back into the pale, cold daylight. You know your path now. It does not lead south, back to your home. The prophecy showed you the gate you must pass through to reach Olympus, a gate that does not lie in the world of the living. To climb to the heavens, you must first descend into hell. Your jaw is set, a line of hard resolve. The fear is still there, a cold knot in your stomach. But beneath it, the forge of your soul burns with a clear, steady, and purposeful flame. You have known thyself. You are Irian, son of Callista and Hephaestus. You are a tool forged for a single purpose, and you are a sacrifice waiting to be made. Your journey to the underworld has begun. Your journey south from Delphi is a pilgrimage into emptiness. You are a single, moving point of warmth in a world that has been put on ice. You don't need a map. The oracle's vision burned a psychic landmark into your soul. A place where the world of the living wears thin, a wound in the earth that festers with the cold of the afterlife. You walk for weeks, eating little, sleeping less, your own inner fire sustaining you. You are heading toward Tainarum, the southernmost tip of the Peloponnese, a windswept cape known to sailors and storytellers as a gateway to the land of the dead. As you draw closer, the very nature of the cold changes. It is no longer the biting, physical chill of the upper world. It becomes a profound silence, a heavy, metaphysical pressure that muffles sound and dims light. You find the entrance in a seaside cave, its mouth slick with black, mossy stone. The waves of the Aegean, which should crash against the shore, seem to halt and die at the cave's entrance, their energy swallowed by the void within. There is no fanfare, no grand gate, just a hole in the world. You take one last look at the pale, gray sky, take a breath of the thin, cold air, and step across the threshold. Instantly, the world shifts. The last vestiges of color drain away, leaving a universe painted in infinite shades of gray. The air does not move. The only sound is a faint, high-pitched ringing in your ears, the sound of absolute silence. You are in the antechamber of Hades. Before you lies a vast, misty plain, the Asphodel Meadows, where the souls of ordinary people wander for eternity. They are like smoke, these shades, vague, translucent outlines of who they once were, whispering to each other with voices like the rustle of dry leaves. Historians debate whether the ancient Greek conception of the underworld was a place of active punishment for the wicked, like the Christian hell, or primarily a bleak, joyless, and neutral realm for all but a few legendary heroes and sinners. What you see before you is confirmation of the latter. The vibe is less eternal damnation and more the DMV waiting room for the entirety of existence. Just gray, boring, and everyone looks like they've lost their ticket. As you walk among them, a strange thing happens. The shades are drawn to you. They drift towards the faint warmth you radiate. Their smoky hands reaching out, their whispering growing more urgent. They are not hostile. They are just cold. They are moths drawn to a candle in a world of endless twilight. You feel their collective sorrow, a billion lifetimes of regret, boredom, and faded memories. It's a weight that threatens to crush your spirit, to douse your inner fire with its sheer, overwhelming apathy. You pull your focus inward, shielding your flame, and push onward. Soon, you reach the banks of a great, dark river. Its water is black and greasy, flowing without a sound. This is the river Acheron, the river of woe, that separates the entrance from the true kingdom of Hades. Moored to the bank is a rickety wooden skiff, and holding a long pole is its ferryman, Charon. He is a hunched, ancient figure, his face hidden in the cowl of his robe, his eyes glowing with a faint, resentful light. He is exactly as the stories described him. He extends a skeletal hand towards you. He doesn't speak, but his meaning is clear. He wants payment. This is a tradition, well. The living would place an obol, a small coin, in the mouth of their dead to pay for this very passage. Without it, a soul was doomed to wander the banks for 100 years. You, of course, have no coin. You approach the ferryman, but you're a bit short on cash. Apparently, the interdimensional ferry service doesn't take IOUs, and your divine credit score is pending. You shake your head, showing your empty hands. Charon makes a grating, angry sound and turns his back on you, preparing to ignore you for the next century. But you are not a dead soul. You are a living fire. You reach into the leather pouch at your belt. Over the long weeks of your journey, you have been working. With scraps of discarded metal and the focused heat of your own hands as a miniature forge, you have created small things. You pull one out now. It is a perfect, tiny star forged from bronze, polished to a high sheen. It's not worth much in the mortal world, but that's not the point. You hold it out, a gift. You project, not with your voice, but with your mind. A memory of the sun. As you offer it, you let a pulse of your warmth flow into the bronze star. It begins to glow, not with a magical light, but with the simple, honest light of heated metal. It radiates a gentle warmth into the crushing cold of the underworld. Charon slowly turns back, his glowing eyes fixed on the small, warm star. He has not felt warmth in millennia. His entire existence is one of cold, shadow, and the bitter toll of a single coin. Your gift is an anomaly, a defiance of the natural order of this place. He slowly reaches out his bony fingers and takes the star. As he touches it, a shudder runs through his ancient form. For a fleeting second, you see a flicker of something in his eyes, a memory of sunlight, of life, of a time before he was bound to this miserable task. He closes his hand around the star, and the warmth seems to comfort him. He nods once, a sharp, bird-like motion, and gestures for you to get into the skiff. The journey across the Acheron is silent and unnerving. The faces of the damned swirl just beneath the black surface of the water, their mouths open in silent screams. You keep your eyes fixed on the far bank, which grows steadily clearer. It is a shore of black sand, and rising from it are the great Cyclopean walls and brass gates of Hades' kingdom. As you step off the boat, you hear it, a sound that is not a sound, but a feeling. It is a deep, guttural baying that vibrates up through the soles of your feet and into your teeth. It is a roar of pure, distilled menace, a sound designed to unmake courage. It is the bark of Cerberus, the hound of hell, the guardian of the gate. You walk up the beach of black sand toward the gates, the baying growing louder with every step. The gate itself is a monstrous thing of black iron and brass, 20 times your height. And chained before it is the beast from your prophecy. Cerberus is larger than you could have imagined. He is the size of a farmer's cottage, a mountain of black, bristling muscle. He has 3 heads, each one the size of a boulder, with teeth like sharpened daggers. Their 6 eyes glow with a malevolent, hellish fire, and a mane of writhing, hissing vipers writhes around their necks. He is not just a guard. He is a statement of absolute, terrifying power. As he sees you, a living, breathing mortal, his rage intensifies. All 3 heads roar in unison, a sound that physically pushes you back. The ground trembles. The snakes of his mane hiss and spit. This is the test. Heracles, the great hero, wrestled the beast into submission. Orpheus, the divine musician, lulled it to sleep with his lyre. You are neither a brawler nor a musician. Your path must be your own. From your pack, you withdraw your greatest creation, the project you have been working on since you left Delphi. It is a collar, not a chain of subjugation, but a work of art. It is a thick band of intricately woven bronze and iron, wide as your 2 hands. You have hammered it with patterns of sleeping drakes and gentle, licking flames. It is smooth and beautiful. It is a gift, fit for the noble guardian of a great king. You have kept it wrapped in cloth, and as you unwrap it now, it glows with a soft, warm light, infused with your own steady heat. You hold the collar out before you as a shield, though it is no shield. You do not try to sneak past. You walk directly towards the monstrous hound. Guardian, you project with your thoughts, your mind calm and focused as if you were about to strike a piece of hot iron. I see your burden. I honor your duty. I bring not a challenge, but a gift. Cerberus is confused. His entire existence has been a cycle of rage and violence. He is meant to repel intruders, to tear apart any who dare approach. He has never been spoken to with respect. He has never been offered a gift. 2 of his heads continue to roar and snap, but the third, the one in the middle, tilts its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. It smells the air, catching the scent of living warmth and hot metal, a smell utterly alien in this place of decay. You take another step forward. You begin to hum. It is not a song of power or magic. It is the simple, repetitive lullaby your mother, Callista, used to hum as she worked the bellows. a tune of safety, a tune of home, a tune that speaks of a gentle hand and a watchful eye. It is the rhythm of creation itself. The combination is too much for the beast's simple, violent nature. The sound is not a challenge. The warm, glowing object is not a weapon. Your posture is not aggressive. The roaring from the other two heads falters, replaced by a low, uncertain growl. The snakes of its mane stop hissing and weave slowly, as if mesmerized. You are now close enough to feel the heat radiating from the hound's own hellish eyes. You can smell its breath, a scent like sulfur and old bones. You do not stop humming. You do not break eye contact with the central head. You hold out the collar. The middle head leans forward, its massive, wet nose sniffing at the warm bronze. It lets out a low, questioning whine, a sound utterly at odds with its terrifying form. The other two heads watch, silent and suspicious. You take the final, terrifying step, and you reach out. You gently lay the heavy, warm collar over the central head, settling it around its massive neck. The moment the warm metal touches its skin, a tremor runs through the entire beast. The warmth is a shocking, pleasant sensation, a feeling it has never known in its eternity of angry, cold duty. It is the feeling of a kind hand. The lullaby continues, a gentle, rhythmic hum that speaks of peace. The rage, the eternal, burning rage that has powered the beast for eons, begins to cool. One by one, the three great heads lower to the ground. The vipers in its mane retract, becoming nothing more than a thick, bristly ruff of fur. The six hellfire eyes soften, the malevolent glow dimming to a soft, amber light. Cerberus, the great and terrible guardian of hell, rests his three chins on his massive paws and lets out a deep, contented sigh that sounds like grinding stone. He is not asleep. He is pacified. He looks at you with something approaching gratitude and closes his eyes. The way is clear. You have faced death's gatekeeper and proven yourself worthy, not through strength, but through your own unique nature, through craft, through empathy, through the memory of a mother's love. You've just managed to soothe a three-headed hellhound with a lullaby and a bespoke necklace. Your resume is getting really weird. You give the great beast one last, gentle pat on its central head and walk past it, through the massive brass gates and into the true realm of Hades. You have passed the first test, but the Oracle's vision showed you more. The underworld was only the path, not the destination. To reach Olympus, you must pass through Death's kingdom and find the exit on the other side. Passing through the gates of Hades is like stepping from a building's gloomy foyer into its vast, silent throne room. The oppressive weight of the wandering shades is gone, replaced by a profound emptiness and a sense of ancient, unmoving authority. In the distance, you see the dark spires of Hades' palace, a structure that seems to absorb the non-light around it. You feel no desire to go there. Your path lies elsewhere. You can see, far to your left, a pale, shimmering land of perpetual twilight, Elysium, the realm of heroes, a reward you do not seek. And you can feel, deep beneath your feet, a vibration of eternal torment, the hopeless rage of the titans chained in Tartarus. Classicists have long debated the precise relationship between the chthonic deities of the underworld and the Olympian gods of the sky. Were they two separate pantheons, or two faces of the same cosmic order? As you walk through this silent kingdom, you feel the truth of it. They are a system, one of balance, A balance the Olympians themselves have broken by hoarding the fire that should belong to the mortal world that feeds this one with souls. You are a disruption to this system, a living, warm thing in the land of the dead. Your purpose is not here. You follow an instinct, a faint, upward pull against the crushing gravity of this realm. You are searching for an anabasis, an ascent, the mythological opposite of the catabasis you have just completed. You find it behind Persephone's bleak, fruitless pomegranate grove, a set of stairs carved into the black rock, spiraling upwards into impenetrable darkness. It feels ancient, unused, a forgotten connection point between the below and the above, a true axis mundi, a pillar connecting the worlds. You place your foot on the first step. The climb begins. For what feels like an eternity, you climb in utter darkness and silence. But then, slowly, a change begins. A faint light appears far, far above you. The crushing pressure of the underworld lessens, replaced by a new kind of energy. The air begins to crackle, to hum with power. The black rock of the stairs gives way to gleaming, cloud-like marble. You are no longer in Hades. You are on the slopes of Olympus. The pristine, divine beauty of the place is a weapon. The air is so clear it hurts your eyes. The light so pure it feels like it should scour you clean. But this mountain does not want you. As soon as your feet touch its sacred ground, it begins to fight back. First come the storms. The sky, a perfect, impossible blue a moment before, turns a churning, violent purple. A wind howls down the slopes, a wind that doesn't just push you, but screams at you with 1,000 indignant voices. It is the fury of the minor gods, the spirits of the air and clouds, enraged by your profane presence. You lean into the gale, your small frame an anchor of pure will. Rain begins to fall, but it is not water. It feels like liquid judgment, each drop cold and heavy, seeking to weigh you down, to extinguish the fire in your soul. Bolts of lightning, thrown with divine precision, strike the ground around you, leaving craters of sizzling marble. You do not flinch. You simply keep climbing, one step at a time, your mother's lessons on endurance turning your body into an unstoppable force of will. When the storm fails to deter you, the mountain changes its tactics. It attacks your mind. The path ahead shimmers, and suddenly you are standing not on a mountain slope, but in your mother's smithy. She is there, looking frail and ancient, her hands trembling. "Irian, my son," she pleads, her voice achingly real. "Come home. I am cold. The world is cold. Your warmth is all I have left." Your heart clenches. This is your deepest fear, your greatest weakness. But you look closer into her eyes, and you see that they are hollow. There is no love in them, only a clever illusion designed to prey on yours. You feel the heat signature. It is false, a projected coldness. My mother's fire will not go out until mine does. You think, you resolve a shield. You close your eyes, focus on the real warmth of your own core. And when you open them, the smithy is gone. You are back on the mountain. The illusions become more insidious. The mountain shows you a world reborn. Villages are full of light and laughter. Fields are green and bountiful. And the hearths of humanity burn brightly. A chorus of happy voices whispers in your ear, "It is done, hero. Your quest is over. The gods have relented. You can rest. It is everything you have ever wanted." But you feel the truth. The world is still cold. This is a lie. The mountain is offering you a cheap, painless victory, a way to give up without admitting defeat. The mountain starts throwing pop-up ads for a happy life directly into your brain. You have to be running some serious mental ad blocking software to get through this. You grit your teeth and keep climbing. The final illusion is the most tempting. The path ahead opens into a grand throne room at the peak of the mountain. You see yourself, older, seated on a throne of fire, the gods of Olympus bowing before you. You are Irian the fire god, the new king. They offer you power, glory, immortality. They offer you everything that heroes dream of. But you are not a hero. You are a blacksmith's son. You do not want a throne. You want to relight the hearths of the poor. You want to warm your mother's hands. This temptation of hubris, of pride, is the last, most powerful trick. You shake your head, and the vision shatters into a million pieces of light. The illusions cease. The mountain seems to fall silent, as if acknowledging that its cruder defenses are useless against you. The path ahead is clear, leading up to the final summit, which is wreathed in a cloud so bright it is impossible to look at directly. As you take a step toward it, a figure resolves out of the shimmering air. He is lean and athletic, with a traveler's hat and winged sandals that hover just above the marble path. He carries a karakian, a staff entwined with two serpents. His eyes are sharp, ancient, and filled with a kind of weary amusement. It is Hermes, the messenger, the guide of souls, the god of boundaries. And you have just crossed every boundary there is. Well, now, he says, his voice smooth and impossibly fast. You've been busy, a little catabasis, a little anabasis. You've made a mess of the cosmic commute. Cerberus is refusing to eat and demanding belly rubs. Hades is complaining about unauthorized solar flares in his atrium. You, little spark, are a problem. So you finally meet one of the head honchos, and it turns out he's less of a divine CEO and more of a very well-dressed cosmic bouncer, here to tell you you're not on the list. You stand your ground. Your silence your only response. Hermes' smile fades. He becomes serious, his gaze sharp enough to pierce stone. I am not here to stop you with storms or cheap tricks, demigod. I am here to deliver a message, as is my duty. Turn back. Your quest is suicide. You remain silent, your ember eyes fixed on him. You do not understand what you seek. Hermes continues, pacing back and forth. His movements so swift he seems to be in several places at once. The eternal flame is not a torch you can carry. It is not a thing. It is a font of pure creation. It is the raw power from which we were made. It is a piece of the cosmos itself, untamed and absolute. We Olympians can channel it, direct it, but for a mortal, even one with divine blood, to touch it, it would be like a dewdrop trying to swallow the ocean. It will unmake you. It will burn your mind, your body, your very soul to ash. There will be nothing left of you to die. This is the warning the oracle foretold. The final gate, a choice offered by a god. Why? You project. Your first communication since the underworld. The single word is heavy with the weight of the frozen world. Hermes stops pacing. He looks at you, and for a moment, you see a flicker of something that might be sympathy. Why was the fire taken? Because humanity was becoming arrogant. You were burning too brightly, reaching too high. You were starting to think of yourselves as our equals. My father, Zeus, does not suffer equals. The cold is a lesson in humility. It is a lesson in cruelty. You answer, your thought voice steady and clear. A lesson in fear. The world belongs to us, boy. Hermes says, his voice losing its patience. We can do with it as we please. You are its stewards, not its owners. You reply, the words coming from a place of certainty deep within you. You finally give voice to the purpose that has driven you across the world and through the land of the dead. I am not here for glory. I have not climbed this mountain out of pride. I am here to finish the work of Prometheus. The name hangs in the air between you, a word of power and rebellion. Hermes raises an eyebrow. Prometheus was a fool, a thief who was punished for his sentimentality. He was a champion. You counter, your inner fire flaring with conviction. He gave humanity a gift, a single spark to light their way. But you kept the source. You let them have a candle, but you locked away the sun, and now you have snuffed out even that. You have left them to freeze in the dark. I am not here to steal. I am here to restore, to give them back not just the spark, but the means to create their own. You basically just told a god that you're here to action an ancient grievance on behalf of all humanity. It's the kind of bold move that either gets you a statue or gets you vaporized. No middle ground. Hermes studies you for a long moment. He sees no pride in your eyes, no lust for power. He sees only a terrible, unshakable resolve. He sees a blacksmith's son who has come to mend what is broken. He, the god of merchants and tricksters, understands a transaction. And he understands the price you are willing to pay. He sighs, a sound like the rushing wind. The prophecy has already been spoken. The fates have woven this thread. I cannot stop you. I am not even sure my father can, at this point. I have delivered my message. Your choice is your own. With a final, pitying look, Hermes turns and dissolves into a shimmer of light, his warning hanging in the air. The flame you seek is your funeral pyre, son of Hephaestus. I hope you find it worth the price. He is gone. The path is open. Before you, the final slope of the mountain rises to a flat, circular peak, shrouded in a cloud of pure, blinding light. At its center, you can just make out the shape of the great celestial brazier. It is dark. It is cold. It is empty. And it is waiting for you. The final slope is a path of pure light. You walk on solidified cloud, and the air thrums with a power so immense it feels like the universe is holding its breath. The warning from Hermes echoes in your mind. It will unmake you, but it no longer feels like a threat. It feels like a description, a necessary step in the process. You are a blacksmith's son, and you know that to create something new, something old must be heated, hammered, and fundamentally changed. You step onto the summit of Olympus. It is a vast, circular plateau of gleaming marble, open to the star-dusted velvet of the cosmos. Arranged in a silent semicircle are the 12 thrones of the Olympian gods. One is of polished ivory and gold for Zeus, another of dark, shimmering obsidian for Hades, who sometimes visits, one of green, sea-worn marble for Poseidon, and one of burnished, intricately worked bronze for your father, Hephaestus. But they are all empty. The gods have chosen to bear witness from a distance, their absence a final, silent judgment. It's the divine equivalent of breaking up with someone via text message. Cold, even for them. In the center of the plateau stands the great brazier. It is larger and more magnificent than even your visions had shown. It is the heart of this place, the center of the god's power. The celestial bronze from which it is forged seems to absorb the light around it, its surface dull and lifeless. A rime of otherworldly frost clings to its rim, a frost born of a cosmic winter. The carvings that encircle it tell the story of creation, of gods and titans, of heroes and monsters. It is a masterpiece made by your father's hands, and it is dead. You walk towards it, your soft footsteps the only sound in the silent realm of the gods. You look inside, expecting to see embers, ash, something to relight, but there is nothing. Instead, where the flame should be, there is a perfect sphere of absolute blackness, a hole in the very fabric of space. It does not reflect light. It consumes it. It is a vortex of nothingness, and from it emanates the soul-stealing cold that has bled down into your world. This is not the absence of fire. It is the presence of anti-fire. You finally understand. You cannot take a flame from a place where none exists. You cannot fight a void. You can only fill it. The oracle's prophecy rings with perfect clarity. To reclaim the fire, you must feed the fire. So the plan isn't to steal the fire. The plan is to be the fire. It's the ultimate fake it till you make it, except in this case, making it involves total self-annihilation. Details. Scholars of comparative mythology often debate whether demigod figures represent a bridge between humanity and the divine, or a fundamental transgression of the boundary that must ultimately be erased. In this moment, the answer is both. You are the bridge, and to complete your purpose, the mortal part of you, the transgression, must be given up. You place your hands on the icy rim of the brazier. The cold is so profound it feels like a burn, but you are a creature of fire, and this is a pain you can understand. You take a deep breath, though there is no air to breathe. You think of your mother's face, of the rhythmic sound of her hammer, of the single green leaf on the dead oak tree. You hold these memories close. They are the fuel you are about to offer. With a quiet grace, you haul yourself over the rim and step down into the brazier. You stand before the sphere of nothingness. It does not threaten you. It simply is. It is the end of all stories. The final, silent period at the end of every sentence. You do not flinch. You reach out your hands, not to fight it, but to embrace it. You step forward into the void, and you are unmade. It is not a death of tearing flesh or breaking bone. It is a systematic, silent deletion. The first to go are your senses. The sight of the stars, the feeling of the cold bronze at your back, the memory of the scent of your mother's forge. They are wiped clean, like words erased from a scroll. Then, your memories unravel. Your journey to Delphi, the face of the Pythia, the lullaby you hummed for Cerberus, the treacherous climb up the mountain. Each memory is plucked from your consciousness and dissolved into the absolute zero of the void. You feel your childhood fading, the weight of your small bronze hammer, the warmth of your mother's hand. The name she gave you, Irian, becomes a meaningless sound, its letters scattering into the emptiness. Your very identity, the I, that is you, begins to fray at the edges. Your hopes for the world, your anger at the gods, your love for your mother, the very pillars of your being are dismantled, atom by atom. You're undergoing a full system reboot, deleting the mortal boy operating system and installing Sentient Celestial Fire 1.0. Hopefully, it comes with a user manual. You are being reduced, stripped down to your core components. It is the ultimate alchemical process, a reduction to the prima materia, the essential substance from which you were made. And what is that substance? When everything else is gone, every memory, every thought, every feeling, one thing remains. A single, infinitesimally small point of light and heat. It is the spark your father, Hephaestus, gifted to your mother. It is your divine inheritance. It is pure, unquenchable, and defiant. It is the only thing the void cannot consume. And in the heart of that absolute nothingness, that single spark does the only thing it knows how to do. It burns. It does not explode. It does not rage. It simply ignites. It is a reaction that defies physics and logic. It is an act of pure creation in the face of pure non-existence. The sphere of blackness, the wound in the world, is cauterized by this single point of divine will. The void is not pushed back. It is healed, consumed by the birth of a new, impossible flame. The fire erupts, but it does not stay in the brazier. The brazier was merely the crucible. The fire is you. Your consciousness, which had been reduced to a single point, now expands at the speed of thought, filling the space the void once occupied. You are no longer Irian, a body containing a spark of fire. You are the fire itself, a being of pure, sentient energy, contained within the vessel of a boy's fading silhouette. You look down at your hands, but they are no longer hands of flesh and bone. They are woven from shimmering, golden light, trailing wisps of pure heat. You have no skin, no muscle, no blood. You are a coherent, self-aware pattern of energy. You are a walking star. The mortal boy has been burned away. His life the price of this transformation. The brazier of Olympus, its purpose served, grows cold and dark forever. It is now just a monument to the sacrifice that made it obsolete. You have become the new public hearth, the Prytanian for the entire world. Your new senses awaken. You do not see with eyes. You perceive the world as an intricate tapestry of heat and energy. You can feel the cold, lonely rock of the moon. You can feel the distant, burning hearts of the stars. And you can feel the earth below you. Oh, the earth. You feel its pain with an intimacy that is overwhelming. You feel every frozen field, every lightless village, every shivering child. You feel the planet's life force, weak and faltering, a great, cold sickness that you now know how to cure. From the peak of Olympus, the silent, empty thrones of the gods bear witness as you, the new eternal flame, turn your gaze downward. You are not a boy. You are not a god. You are a purpose made manifest, and it is time to descend to bring the warmth home. The sacrifice is complete. The work is about to begin. You do not walk down from Olympus. You flow. The descent is a cascade of golden light, a silent, graceful waterfall of warmth pouring back into a world that has forgotten it. The mountain itself, which fought you with such fury on your ascent, is now calm and reverent. The winds are still, the clouds part, and the marble path seems to shine with a gentle, welcoming light. It is as if the very substance of the divine realm recognizes that you are no longer an intruder, but a blessing being given. Your new form is strange and wonderful. You are a silhouette of the boy you once were, but you are woven from fire and light. You have no weight. You hover an inch above the ground, leaving no footprints, only a faint, shimmering trail of heat that dissipates in moments. You no longer have to worry about what to wear, since your entire body is now a fashion statement made of pure plasma. It's a look that says, I'm cosmically significant and also a potential fire hazard. Your perception has also changed. You feel the world not through eyes and ears, but as a symphony of temperatures. The planet is a vast, cold instrument, and you can feel the discordant notes of its sickness, the places where the frost bites deepest. As you reach the foothills of Olympus, the world begins to change. The first to notice are the winds, the mournful, biting gales that have scoured the land for years simply stop. The air becomes still, patient, waiting. Then, the frost begins to melt. Not just where you pass, but everywhere, as if a great fever has broken. High on the distant peaks, you can see snowbanks shrinking, and you hear the first faint trickle of a long frozen stream beginning to thaw. The fundamental law of cold that the gods imposed is being unwritten by your very existence. You begin your journey, a long, silent pilgrimage across the land. You are drawn instinctively toward the places of greatest need. You drift through skeletal forests of oak and pine, and as you pass, the trees respond. You don't touch them, but the memory of warmth your presence invokes is enough. A deep, resonant life force stirs in their frozen roots. You see buds, impossibly, forming on the bare, gray branches, the promise of a spring that had been stolen. You come to your first village. It is a huddle of stone and mud huts, a place of profound despair. The people are wraiths, thin and pale, bundled in every scrap of cloth they own. When they see you approaching, a figure of walking, shimmering fire, they cry out in terror. They stumble back, shielding their eyes, grabbing their children. Their reaction is a very understandable mix of, "Oh great, a divine miracle," and "everybody run. The sun is angry and it's coming right for us." You do not speak. You have no voice. You simply stop in the center of their small, dead village square. You radiate not a scorching heat, but a deep, penetrating warmth, the kind of warmth that comes from a banked hearth on a winter's night. It is a feeling they remember in their bones, a folk memory of comfort and safety. Their fear begins to subside, replaced by a desperate, wondrous curiosity. A brave child, too young to have a deep-seated fear of the unnatural, takes a hesitant step forward. Her mother tries to pull her back, but the child is mesmerized by your gentle light. In the center of the square is a communal hearth, its stones black and cold, a monument to everything they have lost. You glide towards it. The villagers watch, holding their breath. You extend a hand, a beautiful, terrifying appendage of pure light, and you gently touch the central stone. A single, perfect flame blossoms into existence. It is the color of a sunset, burning with a steady, unwavering light. It requires no wood, no oil, no kindling. It is a self-sustaining gift, a tiny piece of your own essence. From this one flame, the entire village comes back to life. People weep openly. They rush forward, not to touch you, but to dip torches and branches into the miraculous fire, their hands trembling. They race back to their own homes, and soon, smoke, real, honest, life-affirming smoke, begins to rise from the roofs for the first time in years. Laughter, a sound as strange and miraculous as the fire itself, rings out in the cold air. You have become the world's most dramatic public utility worker, going town to town to fix the heating. No paperwork, just a touch of incandescent glory. Your work here is done. As the village begins to celebrate, you drift away, as silently as you arrived, leaving behind the greatest gift of all, a simple, burning hearth. Your journey continues. You cross the frost-hardened plains of Thessaly. As you move, a wave of life follows in your wake. The frozen earth softens. The grasses, long dead and brown, show faint traces of green. You are a walking agent of sympathetic magic. Your living fire is a catalyst that reminds the world how to be alive. Like begets like, and your warmth begets warmth in everything you pass. You find your way to a coastline dotted with fishing villages. Here, the cold has been a different kind of cruel. The sea has not frozen solid, but it has become a cold, barren soup, the fish having long since fled to warmer, deeper waters. The boats are all pulled ashore, their hulls cracked and their nets rotting. You walk to the edge of the water. As your light touches the waves, the unnatural chill recedes. You can feel life stirring in the depths, the thermal signatures of plankton blooming, of small fish beginning to venture back into the shallows. You light a fire in the village lighthouse, a beacon that had been dark for a generation, and its beam is a promise to the fishermen that the sea will provide once more. Historians and theologians still debate whether the concept of sacred kingship in the ancient Near East and Mediterranean implied the king was a god, a priest, or merely a vessel through which divine blessings flowed to the people. You are the living embodiment of that last idea. You hold no power over anyone. You are not a king. You are simply a vessel, a conduit for a blessing the world desperately needs. You travel for months, a silent, wandering star. You seek out the great cities, now hollow shells of their former glory. In Athens, you walk the Panathenaic way up to the Acropolis. The great temples are cold and desolate. You enter the shell of the Parthenon and light a fire on the altar before the ghost of Athena's statue. You move on to the Erechtheion, where you pass the famous olive groves. Olive oil was the lifeblood of the ancient world, a source of food, wealth, and, crucially, fuel for lamps. Its loss plunged the world into darkness as well as hunger. You pause by the trunk of a sacred olive tree, said to have been a gift from Athena herself. It is a dead, gnarled thing. You lay your fiery hand upon its trunk, and a tremor runs through the ancient wood. A silver green leaf unfurls, then another, then 100. The tree is reborn, and with it, the hope of light itself. With every hearth you light, with every field you thaw, with every tree you bring back to life, a small piece of your energy is given away. You can feel it. Your light, once so blindingly bright, is softening to a gentler, more golden hue. The form of the boy you once were is becoming less distinct, more translucent. You are pouring yourself out into the world, drop by drop, spark by spark. This was always the price. The prophecy was not just about your death, but about this slow, deliberate self-expenditure. You are a candle, and you are burning down to bring light to others. You eventually turn south, back towards the Peloponnese, back towards the lands of your childhood. You are being drawn home, not by memory, for you have none, but by a fundamental connection, a resonance with the place where your spark first entered the world. You pass through Lycos, your home village. You do not recognize it, but you feel a warmth here that exists nowhere else. A stubborn, forge-born heat that has resisted the worst of the divine winter. You see the smithy, its doors shut tight, but with a faint, warm glow seeping from beneath the door. Your mother's forge, it has kept her alive. You do not go to her. To see you now would be a pain greater than any she has yet endured. She would see the ghost of her son in the heart of this creature of fire, and she would know the full extent of your sacrifice. Your gift to her must be an anonymous one. You walk to the center of the village, to the very hearth you first reignited as a small child. It is cold again, the miracle of your youth having long since faded. You touch its stones, and a bright, beautiful fire springs to life, stronger than before. You turn and leave, a silent, fiery shadow, knowing that your mother will see the new fire and understand that hope has returned to the world, never knowing the precise cost her own son paid to deliver it. The world itself is softening, and as you walk, you are no longer just a man or a memory, but warmth incarnate. You drift away from Lycos, your purpose fulfilled in that small corner of the world. The journey continues, but your steps, once so sure and driven, are now slower, more deliberate. The light that constitutes your form is softer, a gentle honey gold rather than the brilliant, stellar white of your rebirth on Olympus. The silhouette of the boy you once were is fading, its edges blurring into the air around you. You are a watercolor painting left out in the rain, your form and substance slowly bleeding into the world. Your power is waning. You can feel it. You are no longer a walking sun, capable of melting the frost from a whole mountain range. Now, your gifts are smaller, more intimate. You are running on low battery mode. Your grand miracles have been downgraded to making slightly cozier campfires and gently encouraging vegetables to grow. You've gone from a supernova to a nightlight. You find a shepherd caught in a sudden natural rainstorm, his flock shivering. You don't create a grand shelter. You simply pass by his small campfire, and your presence deepens its warmth, making its embers burn twice as long, enough to see him through the night. You find a potter, her clay too cold to work. You hover near her workshop for an hour, your gentle radiance enough to make the clay pliable again, allowing her to shape her vessels. Each act is a giving. Each gift is a piece of yourself, freely offered. You are becoming less a being and more a concept, an ambient warmth that drifts on the breeze. Your journey finds its end on a desolate stretch of coastline in the far west, a place where the land gives way to the vast, endless ocean. Before you is a small, abandoned shrine to some forgotten sea god, its stones cold and covered in salt spray. It feels like the end of the world, a final, lonely place that even the reborn warmth has not yet fully touched. This is the place. You know it. It is the last debt to be paid. You approach the small, broken altar. It is the last cold hearth you will ever find. You gather the last of your energy, the final reserves of the divine fire that was Irian. You think of nothing. No memories remain to comfort you. No sense of self remains to feel pride or sorrow. There is only the purpose, the final hammer blow of your existence. You reach out your hand, now almost completely transparent, a mere shimmer in the air, and you touch the cold stone. A flame springs to life. It is not a grand fire, but a small, delicate, and intensely pure silver flame. It dances with a life all its own, a tiny, eternal sentinel at the edge of the world. As it is born, you are unmade for the last time. Your form dissolves completely. There is no sound, no flash of light, no glorious ascension. There is only a final, gentle pulse of warmth that radiates outwards, and then the air where you stood is empty. The silhouette of the boy, the vessel of the flame, is gone forever. You die not in battle against a monster or a god, but in a quiet, anonymous act of creation. So your big hero's farewell is less epic blaze of glory and more quietly fizzling out. You don't even get a commemorative plaque. The universe really needs a better employee recognition program. There is no body to be buried, no grave to be mourned, no monument is erected in your name, for no one knew your name. Your sacrifice leaves no trace, no glory, no epic poem sung in your honor. You leave only warmth, but your essence, your diffused being, lingers. It is in every flame you lit, a subtle purity and resilience that was not there before. It is in the pneuma, the warm, fiery soul of the world itself, which you have replenished. Your story as a person is over, but your existence as a presence has just begun. In the weeks and years that follow, strange and gentle things begin to happen across the land. A mother in Thebes, rocking her baby by the hearth, swears she sees a shimmering, smiling boy dancing in the flames for just a moment, filling her with a sense of profound peace. A child in a remote mountain village, frightened by a nightmare, is calmed by the sudden, inexplicable warmth of his blanket. He tells his parents that warm man chased the shadows away. You have become a household god, a universal lar familiaris for all of humanity. You are the spirit of the hearth, the unseen guardian who keeps the coals glowing. A blacksmith in Corinth, a man much like your mother, strong and pragmatic, arrives at his forge one morning to find the coals already glowing with a perfect, steady heat, ready for the day's work. He assumes he must have banked them improperly, but it happens again the next week, and the week after. He never understands why, but his work becomes better, his metal more compliant, his creations more beautiful. A baker in Sparta finds her oven retains its heat through the night, allowing her to bake an extra batch of bread at dawn for the poor. The bread that comes from her oven is lighter, warmer, and more nourishing than any she has made before. You have officially transitioned from a physical being to a cultural ghost story, the kind of tale people tell to make sure their kids behave. Finish your dinner, or the friendly, warmth-giving fire ghost won't visit. Your myth is born, not from the mouth of a poet in a king's court, but in whispers around the fires you lit. They don't know your name, Irian. They don't know your story. They speak of the fire bringer, the hearth friend, the glowing child. The stories vary from village to village. In some, you are a ghost. In others, a minor god, a son of Hephaestus who walks the earth in secret. In others still, you are merely a good omen, a sign of a well-kept home. Anthropologists continue to debate the origins of folklore, questioning whether myths arise from historical events, psychological archetypes, or as explanations for natural phenomena. Your legend is all three. You are the historical event that is being remembered, however imperfectly. You are the archetype of the selfless savior, and you are the human face given to the phenomenon of fire, a way for people to understand its comfort and its mystery. You leave no great temple. Your worship is the simple, daily act of lighting a fire. You ask for no sacrifice. Your worship is a family sharing a warm meal. You have no holy book. Your scripture is the story a grandmother tells her grandchildren as they huddle close to the flames. A story about a mysterious stranger who brought warmth back to the world and asks for nothing in return. You did not die for glory. You did not die in a way that would make the bards sing. You simply gave yourself away until nothing was left. And in doing so, you became something far more enduring than a hero. You became a part of the home. A silent, constant, and comforting presence in every flickering flame, in every glowing hearth, in every warm stone, forever. You are gone, But you are not absent. Your being has become a principle, a law of gentle physics woven into the fabric of the world. And from their silent thrones on the summit of Olympus, the gods bear witness to the consequences of your sacrifice. They have returned to their seats now that the spectacle of your transformation is complete. Zeus sits upon his ivory throne, his hands gripping the armrests, his knuckles white. Hera, beside him, has an unreadable expression on her face. Poseidon seems placid as the deep sea, and Ares looks bored now that the potential for a glorious punishment has passed. And your father, Hephaestus, sits on his throne of bronze and steel, his head bowed. He does not look at the others. His gaze is turned inward, contemplating the impossible, tragic alchemy of it all. He, the master craftsman, who built the brazier to contain the fire, now sees that the world's new fire is contained within the ghost of his own son. It is a piece of craftsmanship beyond even his own skill, a work of art written in the medium of a soul. A heavy silence hangs over the throne room, thicker than any storm cloud. It is the divine equivalent of the ancient Olympic truce, the Ikchera, a sacred cessation of all hostilities. But this truce is not born of respect for a game. It is born of shame. Any one of them, especially Zeus, could have ended your quest at any moment. A lightning bolt, a tidal wave, a fit of divine madness. But you did not present a target for their usual weapons. You did not challenge them with pride. You did not fight them with strength. You confronted them with a purpose so pure and a sacrifice so absolute that their rage was rendered impotent. There is considerable debate among historians of religion as to whether the Greek gods were seen as moral exemplars or simply as superhuman beings embodying both virtue and vice, whose power demanded worship regardless of their actions. Your sacrifice has answered that question for them. You have held up a mirror to their eternal, petulant squabbles, and they are disgusted and awed by what they see. The gods are basically sitting through the most awkward staff meeting ever, after one junior employee's farewell project put all their KPIs to shame. Nobody wants to be the first to speak. Zeus, whose primary problem-solving tool is throw a lightning bolt at it, is completely stumped. He's discovering that you can't smite an abstract concept like selfless love, and it's really messing with his whole management style. To punish you now would be to admit that your sacrifice meant something, that it had power over them. To ignore it would be to do the same. And so they choose the only option left to them, a profound, ringing silence. They do not meddle. They do not rage. They simply watch as the world you saved begins to heal. And down in the mortal realm, the true legacy of your fire begins to unfold. It is no longer just a tool for survival, a simple binary of warmth versus cold, because you were not just a fire, you were a fire with a purpose. Your essence, now woven into every flame, carries a seed of that purpose. Fire is now open source. Humanity got the ultimate software patch, and they're using it to code everything from political revolutions to sad poetry. The terms and conditions are simple. Be warm. You see a group of slaves meeting in secret in the cellar of a wealthy Corinthian merchant's villa. They huddle not around a torch, but a single, small oil lamp. The flame burns with a clear, steady light, and in its gentle warmth, they find the courage to plan their escape. The flame does not tell them what to do, but your essence within it reminds them of their own inner spark, their own right to be free. The fire has become a candle of rebellion. You see a family on the island of Naxos, gathered around a funeral pyre. Their eldest son was lost to a sudden fever, one of the lingering sicknesses from the long cold. But the pyre burns with a clean, bright heat, consuming the body with a gentle efficiency that feels more like a release than a destruction. The family feels not just the heat of the fire, but a sense of profound peace, as if the flames were whispering that this is not an end, but a transformation. Your sacrifice has taught fire how to be compassionate. It has become a candle of grief. You see a group of thinkers, followers of a strange philosopher named Empedocles, sitting in a circle on a Sicilian hillside. They debate the nature of the cosmos, arguing that all things are made of four roots: earth, air, water, and fire, and are moved by two forces: love, which binds things together, and strife, which tears them apart. They feel that for years, strife has ruled the world. But now, looking into their small campfire, they feel a new sense of harmony, of connection, of things being drawn together. Your sacrifice was the ultimate act of love, or philos, using your element to bind the wounds of the world. For these philosophers, your fire is a candle of unity. The fire you gifted is now a medium for every human expression. It is the torchlight that illuminates the scroll of the poet and the chisel of the sculptor. It is the fire in the forge of the smith who, like your mother, finds that the metal now speaks to her more clearly. It is the bonfire at the heart of the village festival, drawing people together not just for shared warmth, but for shared joy. You did not just restore fire, you gave it a soul. And in doing so, you gave humanity a new language with which to express its own. Olympus remained silent. The gods watched this new world unfolding, a world where humanity is more resilient, more creative, and more united than ever before. They are reliant not on divine gifts, but on the gift one of their own half-breeds gave them. You did not challenge them for their thrones. You simply reminded them, and the world, of what true purpose looks like. You reminded them that the ultimate power is not the ability to destroy with a thunderbolt, but the will to create with a single spark. The age of heroic, glorious, prideful challenges to the gods is over. The age of quiet, humanistic, and purposeful creation has begun, and its symbol is a simple, steady flame burning in the hearth of every home. Your legacy is not a name, but a new way of being, a warmth that belongs to everyone, lighting the countless candles of rebellion and grief and art and love and unity alike. Your legacy is not an ending, it is a catalyst. On Olympus, the gods sit in their stunned silence, contemplating the demigod who reshaped their world not with power, but with purpose. In the world of mortals, the fires you lit burn in every hearth, a constant, quiet reminder of your sacrifice. But your gift did more than restore what was lost. It planted seeds of a new potential in the soul of humanity. And now, one of those seeds begins to sprout in the unlikeliest of soil, the heart of a Spartan girl. Her name is Leondi. She was raised on black broth and iron discipline, taught from birth that her only purpose was to bear strong sons for Sparta. Spartan society was basically the original high-intensity, gluten-free, no-fun-allowed lifestyle brand. Their idea of a good time was a light jog followed by a minor war. She is a product of this world. Her body is a weapon honed by running, wrestling, and throwing the javelin. Her mind is sharp and practical, her speech laconic, wasting no words. There is ongoing scholarly debate regarding the emotional and personal lives of Spartan women. Were they purely instruments of the state, as some ancient sources suggest, or did they cultivate rich inner lives independent of their public roles? Leon, if asked, would have said she was an instrument of the state, and she was proud of it. But lately, a strange weariness has settled in her bones, a discontent. The cheers for warriors returning from battle sound hollow. The endless training feels repetitive. She looks at the grim-faced Afors who rule her city, at the helots who work the fields with fear in their eyes, at the rigid, unyielding order of her entire world, and she feels a pull towards something else, something softer. She's starting to suspect there might be more to life than spear throwing and yelling at helots. It's a shocking realization, like a career CrossFitter suddenly discovering the joy of naps. This feeling, this quiet rebellion of the soul, is the first echo of you. One night, unable to sleep, her mind restless with these new, traitorous thoughts, she slips out of her family's Spartan quarters. She walks away from the city, following the dark, murmuring path of the Eurotas River. She finds a small, hidden grove, a place where the gnarled olive trees are ancient and a patch of wild hyacinths has somehow survived. It is a place of peace, a concept almost alien to her. And she sees it. In the center of the grove, floating on a small, still pool of water, is a swan. It is a creature of impossible beauty, but it is the light that makes her stop, her heart hammering against her ribs. The swan glows. It is not a reflection of the moon. It is a soft, internal luminescence, a golden white radiance that seems to come from within its very feathers. It is the gentle, honey gold light of your own fading form, a final, concentrated spark of your essence that has chosen to rest in this creature. The swan's presence makes the air around it feel warm and safe. Leon, the girl trained to meet any unknown with suspicion and violence, does nothing. She stands in the shadows of the olive trees, her spear held loosely in her hand, and simply watches. The swan is not afraid. It turns its long, graceful neck and looks directly at her. Its eyes are not the beady, black eyes of a bird. They are dark, intelligent, and seem to hold a deep, ancient calm. She does not move. The swan does not move. They remain there for an hour, locked in a silent communion. For the first time in her life, Leon is not evaluating a threat, not practicing a stance, not planning for a battle. She is just being. And in the warm, gentle light of the swan, the iron bands around her heart begin to loosen. She returns the next night, and the next, and the next. It becomes her secret ritual. She tells no one. In Spartan society, such a strange, mystical attachment would be seen as a weakness, a dangerous eccentricity. Her new best friend is a mysteriously glowing water bird. It's not the kind of alliance that scores you points with the Spartan military brass, but it's great for your soul's TripAdvisor rating. As the weeks pass, the world begins to change for her. Or rather, her perception of it changes. During her drills, she starts to notice the grace in a fellow warrior's movements, not just the efficiency. On her runs through the countryside, she sees not just strategic terrain, but the deep, rich color of the soil and the way the wind moves through the tall grasses. The world is no longer a schematic for war. It is becoming a tapestry of small, intricate beauties. Her silence deepens, but it is no longer the clipped, efficient silence of a Spartan. It is the rich, observant silence of someone who is listening to the world for the first time. The Swan never makes a sound, but Lullaby feels it speaking to her. It speaks in the language of shared stillness, of mutual trust. It speaks of a world bound not by laws and spears, but by a quiet, invisible magic. One evening, she dares to step out from the shadows of the trees. She walks slowly to the edge of the pool. The Swan watches her approach, its light pulsing gently. She kneels at the water's edge, laying her spear on the ground beside her. It is an act of surrender, a laying down of her old self. She dips her hand into the water. It is not the frigid water of the Eurotas. Here, in this small pool, the water is inexplicably warm, as if heated from within. The Swan gracefully swims closer until it is just beyond her reach. It dips its head, a gesture of profound and noble greeting. And Leon, the fierce Spartan warrior, the girl of iron and duty, feels a tear trace a path through the dust on her cheek. It is the first tear she has shed since she was a small child. She does not know what this means. She has no context for this magic, no name for the peace she feels in this grove. But she knows, with a certainty that rivals any lesson learned in her training, that this is the beginning of a new path. The spark of your sacrifice, Irian, has not just reignited the fires of the old world. It has kindled something entirely new in the heart of a girl who was taught that her heart was the one thing that should never be warmed. A new story, a story of mystery and magic and connection, is about to begin, all born from the echo of your final, fading light. Word count, 3,000. Now, as our story of Irian, the forge-born boy who became a flame, comes to its gentle close, let the world around you soften. The echoes of his sacrifice have rippled outward, finding new hearts to warm, new stories to begin, like the one of the Spartan girl and the luminous Swan. But for now, that is a tale for another night, another dream. Let the grand, cosmic scale of Olympus and the underworld fade from your mind, replaced by the simple, comforting image of a single, steady candle flame dancing in the darkness. Feel the gentle, persistent warmth that he brought back to the world, a warmth that asks for nothing in return but that you feel safe, that you feel at peace. Let the rhythm of your own breathing be the only sound you need to follow. Each slow breath in, a gathering of quiet, and each long breath out, a release of all the day's tensions. There are no more mountains to climb, no more monsters to face. There is only this moment, this quiet, this gradual and easy descent into a deep and restorative sleep. Your own journey is complete for today, and you can rest now, wrapped in the warmth of a story, a silent legacy of a boy who was fire and who made the world soft again. End of script. Sweet dreams.